You ever find yourself at that point in life where you're pretty sure nobody's looking out for you, but you keep going anyway because, well, you've got no other choice? That's where I was at 18, tired, hungry, still clinging to my late mother's old bicycle like it was some kind of anchor in a world that kept shifting beneath my feet. The kind of cold that night settles into your bones, biting through even the thickest coat, especially when you're hustling deliveries just to make sure you have a bed to sleep in by the end of the day. You know what I mean? One more drop, and if I didn't make it, well, I already knew the landlord wasn't the kind of guy to give second chances. It's funny, the way life throws you curveballs sometimes disguised as a choice you barely notice. I was cutting across town, eyes fixed on the last address scrawled on my delivery slip, mind running through how many hours I had left before the key stopped working in the lock. That's when I spotted her, this old woman at the bus stop, looking out of place and time, wrapped up in a wool coat that had seen more winters than I had birthdays. Everyone else, they just rushed by heads down, feet pounding, voices buried in their phones, but she was frozen in place, lost, mumbling something about bus routes and streets that didn't even exist on this side of town. I almost kept going, honestly, because minutes mattered and survival, well, it's not for the sentimental. But something about her, maybe the way her hands trembled around that old purse, maybe the way she looked at every passing car with this flicker of hope that faded just as quickly, made me stop. "Ma'am, are you okay?" I asked, and she blinked like she'd forgotten she was waiting for something. She told me about missing her bus, about trying to get home, laughter fragile as spun glass. I asked her for her address, but she just kept pulling things from her baga crumpled handkerchief, a lipstick, a transfer ticket, so old it looked like a museum piece. Then I saw it. A pendant around her neck, silver, engraved with Evelyn Rose, 48, Oak Hill Drive, North Side. And I'll be honest, my stomach dropped. That was nearly 2 hours away by bike, and I knew every hill between here and there. If I took her, I'd miss the delivery. No rent, no bed. But her eyes clouded, but trusting made the decision for me. Some things you just do because you know they're right, even if the math don't add up. I bundled her up in my jacket, got her perched on the back of my bike, told her to hold on. She laughed, said I reminded her of her grandson, always scuffed shoes, always stubborn. I didn't say anything, just started pedaling, the road climbing away from the town's warm lights into a stretch of cold, starless night. She hummed to herself, sometimes asking where we were, sometimes forgetting she'd asked at all, and every time I answered as gently as I could, telling her we were getting closer. We stopped once for tea at a gas station. I gave her my last dollar. She made me take the first sip, scolded me the way only grandmothers do. When we finally rolled up to her gate-chipped paint, ivy, all the cliches of old money, it was way past dark, and I was running on fumes. An old man answered the door, panic etched in his face until he saw her. The way he hugged her, I knew right then I'd done the right thing, even if it meant freezing that night. He offered me a ride back, food, whatever I wanted, but pride's a strange thing. I just gave him my number in case she ever needed help again, got back on my bike, and rode into the cold. By the time I got to my boarding house, the door was locked, my stuff tossed outside like trash, and there was a note passed through locks taped up for everyone to see. I stood there a while, wondering if I should laugh, cry, or punch something, but I did none of those. I just kept moving, because when you've got nowhere left, movement's all you have. Ended up behind Johnson's Market, the kind of place that's barely holding together, like everything else in this town. Mr. Johnson, the owner, opened the door in his robe, mug of something strong in hand, saw me shivering, sighed, and pointed to the storeroom. "Don't touch the wine crates, and don't freeze to death." Sometimes that's all the kindness you get, you know? I slept better that night than I had in weeks, maybe because for once I felt like what I'd done mattered to someone. Drifted off thinking about Evelyn's smile, the warmth of that chipped mug, and how the world could feel a little less sharp when someone remembers your name. Next morning, the world started up again, same as always. I helped around the store, nodded at Mr. Johnson's silent gestures of approval, watched the town come alive from behind dusty glass. Then this black car, sleek, expensive, totally out of place, pulls up. A man steps out, sharp suit, eyes searching for someone, and he walks straight in like he owns the place. "I'm looking for Andre," he says. Turns out, Evelyn had sent him, remembered everything, wanted to thank me in person. You ever get offered a second chance? So big it scares you? That's what it felt like when he said she wanted to see me again, to thank me properly. I almost said no, almost let pride win out, but Mr. Johnson just shrugged and said go. So I went. Oak Hill in daylight looked less like a mansion and more like a house someone could call home. Evelyn was waiting in the sunroom, looking nothing like the confused woman from the night before. She grabbed my hands, told me I made her feel safe, remembered like herself. She offered me a place to stay, not for the night longer, if I wanted. No strings, just a home. I didn't answer right away. I'd gotten so used to doing for myself, to expecting nothing, that kindness felt suspicious. But she just looked at me, said that's why she wanted me there, because I wasn't looking for a handout. And that was the moment, when someone sees you not for what you lack, but for what you gave. That day I went back to the store, but things felt different. I've been seen, not as some kid struggling to survive, but as a person who showed up, who cared, who rode a little farther than he needed to. Next morning, Evelyn found me at the store, this time on her own, shawl around her shoulders, eyes searching for me. She said the house felt too quiet now, emptier than after her husband passed, emptier than after her grandson. You remind me of him, she told me, and handed me an invitation, not a contract, not charity, just a way to stay until I found my footing. She even offered to help me finish school. It took me a while, but I said yes. Packed my things, said goodbye to Mr. Johnson, who just shoved a bag of sandwiches at me and muttered about time. And I started a new chapter living at the estate, going back to school, helping Evelyn set up a fund for kids like me, for people like her who might slip through the cracks. We called it the Willow Light Fund, after the street she'd gotten lost on that night and the light she'd found again. Now, when I ride past that old bus stop, I slow down. Not because I have to, but because I want to remember sometimes home finds you when you least expect it. Sometimes all it takes to change a life is to stop for someone, to go a little farther, to see them as they are. So tell me, what do you think what's right? What's justice? What's the line between doing enough and doing more than what's required? Drop your thoughts below, because maybe the world needs a little more of us talking about the ways we can change a life, maybe even our own.